it's really just going to be more of a Canadian list here. The first player I have that I'm watching curiously at the 9 is Promise David. Now, Promise David currently is playing in Belgium. He has played most of his youth for Nigeria, and so this has entered me. This has entered me back into the fray of Nigerian. I put him out in the yes, 2025. It's live. It's alive. It really is alive here. It needs to calm down. But he's an interesting 9 just because if you look at Canada's 9s, outside of Jonathan David, who's playing at Lille, and then who's the most consistent, then you have a Kyle Larin who, when he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. But you would appreciate the work rate. The gap afterwards, there are a lot of potential players, but there aren't enough players that are really playing up to that level, right? Theo Bair, who's playing at Auxerre in France, Liga, right? You saw Tani Oluwasi at the Copa America and a little bit at the Nations League quarterfinals. The question is, who in the 9s can actually step up? And I think a player like him who is playing well, if he looks at his pathway potentially, I think there's a clearer path to, say, inserting yourself immediately 3 or 4 on the depth chart. And then arguably, if you have a 9, if Larin isn't playing as well and he keeps up his form, he can fit in easily. And I think the debate with me versus some of the Nigerians who I've been communicating with is Promise David is on the same path that he's been doing that Victor Boniface did. So Victor Boniface went from Belgium, went to Leverkusen, had a good year. So he's almost following that path. The problem, though, I find with him, and especially Nigeria for 9s, is that there are too many good 9s for Nigeria that if he breaks in, I don't know, he either he needs a coach who's going to give him all the trust, or he's going to be one of many 9s. If he goes to Canada, I think his pathway is a little bit clearer to break through. And for me, I think that's why a lot of Canadians are excited for him. He is Canada eligible, and that's why he, for me, as a 9, a little bit of Africa flavor, but more so from the Canadian perspective, he is the 9 that I'm watching the most. But shout out especially for Ike Ugbo, who left the camp. I'm wondering what he can still bring as a 9 here. Theo Bair, who's playing in France, if he can get some consistency in minutes. Those are the honorable mentions for it, but ultimately I picked Promise David as my 9 for Canada in my top 5.